What's up? I'm Cleary. So, before I get started with shitting on Vaush, I wanted to point out, in my last video, someone fucking disliked it and didn't leave a comment. This is my comment, by the way. If I have the balls to put out my fucking opinion on the internet for everyone to see, you should at least have the fucking balls to anonymously explain why you disagree with me. Okay, let's fucking do it. Let's duke it out in the comment section, alright? If you don't like my shit, fucking tell me why. Let's argue about it. Also, dude, 33 views. I'm pretty fucking happy with that. Makes me feel pretty good. So yeah, once again, I'm going to keep kind of like elaborating on my problems with Vaush. And on that note, today we're going to go over some of Vaush's philosophical views. Yeah, so fuck, what's the name of this professor? Bogardus. I'm just going to call him Dr. Bogardus. How about that? This is like a legitimate philosophy professor. And from my understanding, Vaush went into this debate without like any fucking prep work at all. He went in with just like anti-realism. And that's my understanding of Vaush's worldview. He doesn't think that we can like know anything like just fundamentally about our universe. We can't know any truth. Or that like truth in and of itself doesn't really exist. It definitely, that's a weird worldview because like on one hand, yeah, you can never truly prove that like something like fundamentally exists. There's a truth to the universe, right? But we have to behave like there is. Otherwise we can't get anywhere. Like I guarantee after this conversation, Vaush went out into the world acting like, you know, there is truth. There's no real There's no real way to like function in the world with this worldview. It's nonsensical. It just doesn't work for anything. And I wanted to get into that. And this debate is a really good way to do that. So let's do it. Let's start by checking out the professor's views. Oh shit, also, I just want to say, I am very much pro-trans. I think, for instance, when it comes to, like, teens, getting puberty blockers is a good thing. It seems like there are no, like, serious long-term effects when it comes to it. I'm not sure about, I was reading one study about this person, this non-binary person that wanted to, like, perpetually stay on puberty blockers because, like, they didn't feel like they were either a man or woman, right? They were, like, like, hardcore non-binary. They wanted to, like, essentially be, like, sexless. Yeah, that's a little extreme. It's a little intense. But usually it sounds like with puberty blockers, kids are only kept on them for like a year or two. And it doesn't seem to have any like super big downsides. And it gives them time to like consider whether or not they want to transition, right? I mean, it's a big thing to like, think about. But also, just overall, my fundamental view when it comes to people and what they want to do is if something makes somebody happy and it doesn't hurt anybody else, then, I mean, who cares? Like, it's really none of your business at that point, right? And trans people, like, fall solidly into that viewpoint. Yeah, obviously, transitioning makes them happier. I mean, the suicide rate's, like, fucking insane. And transitioning helps with that a lot. Yeah, so it obviously makes them like quite a bit happier. It improves their lives by quite a fucking bit. And of course, it doesn't hurt anybody. Republicans will like argue it's gonna like lead to the downfall of our fucking civilization or whatever. That's bullshit. I don't even understand why, especially considering the fact that only like 0.5% of people in America are fucking trans or whatever. It's not a very common thing. So yeah, like I am very much for like getting help, talking to like a therapist and stuff like that, trying to figure out whether or not you are trans, and then starting to transition. I think all of that, yeah, it's very good. It's very good. Good shit.
Clarification. I think it's pretty obvious to everyone that when people say trans women are women, what they mean is all trans women are women, not just some. So I think that's the question under consideration, whether all trans women are women. First view is what we might call a biological view.
Right, and under that viewpoint, not all trans women are women, of course, if we're going from a biological viewpoint, because, like, biologically speaking, when it comes to male and female, I mean, they're trying to get away from, like, what they were assigned at birth, right? And we usually go off the biological view when it comes to assigning people's gender, their gender at birth. Okay, let's see. So his next point.
And one alternative that they've explored is what we might call a social role view.
Yeah, the social role view. So for me, I think most people do work with this view. I definitely do. I think, well, it's really hard to call somebody trans if they're not like, transitioning, right? If they're not doing things to make themselves appear like, like the sex or like the gender they want to be recognized for, right? Yeah. See, the problem with this view, if you're sticking strictly to it, is what about like people before transition, right? What about people still in the closet? They know for a fact they want to be the opposite gender, right? You got a man that really, really, really wants to be a woman, but they haven't really come out yet. Are they trans? Like most people would consider that person to be trans, right? Even before they start transitioning. So things like that make it so the social worldview isn't like, it's not perfect. It's definitely not perfect. Once again, I think like in general people go with this view, but there are definitely problems with it. Like once again, I would consider somebody pre-transition to be trans.
Philosophical literature, the view that's sort of rising to prominence is a self-ID view. I think that.
Yeah, so self-ID for me, I really don't like self-ID because it kind of plays into that conservative stereotype of trans people, right? Like you can have a man that just fucking like identifies as a woman, even though like for all intents and purposes, like they behave like a man, they look like a man, they're a man in almost like every aspect. Like picture a man, that's the fucker we're talking about, right? But he identifies as a woman, like that's. I don't like that. I don't like the fact that self-ID can allow for that. And I know Vaush is an advocate for self-ID, right? Like trans women are people who identify as women. Like that, there are definitely issues with that. And there's also the circularity aspect, which the professor gets into.
So the first point was just, if this definition is not circular, then whatever the word woman means in the definition, it's going to turn out that not all trans women. But now suppose we.
So yeah, it like the definition is 100% circular, and I feel like there's just like that basic fucking rule when it comes to definitions. Like if you use the word you're trying to define in the definition, you kind of fucked up, right? You're saying it is what it is, what it is, what it is what it is, like over and over and over forever. It's meaningless. There's no substance there. There's nothing to glean from that.
Ask, well, what does it mean? What does woman mean there in the definition? What are you identifying as when you identify as a woman? On this alternative, we're being told the very same sense to be defined. So what you're identifying as is someone who identifies as a woman. That's what you're identifying as, because that's what a woman is. But notice woman shows up again in the definition. And so suppose we do another round of recursion. And now the definition says to be a woman is to be someone who identifies as someone, who identifies as someone, who identifies
over and over, off into eternity. Yeah, it is. It's circular as fuck. Never fall for circular definitions, guys. Don't do it. It's fucking stupid.
Oh, ideally, women don't exist. Here's Vaush.
And yeah, like in this case, obviously, not all trans women are women. If like like gender doesn't fucking exist, like yeah.
I want to defend today. He says in his opening statements that he says prescriptively trans women are women. So that's another view that I've heard expressed in his videos. On this view,
yeah, and my problem with that is like if there's no truth to like what you're arguing for, if you're just saying do it because I say so, it just there's no weight to it. Like I don't know when it comes to prescriptive things, like it just like I feel like just baseline for all of this shit. You have to be referring to some truth about the world. You can't just like throw out the truth. We have to believe that there is truth in the world, and that we can know that truth. We have to behave that way. We just have to. Nothing works if we don't. I don't even know if it's possible to behave like there isn't truth to the world. That just it just sounds weird to me. Just gonna quickly cover this. The nihilistic viewpoint, obviously, I basically already talked about it. Like, if you deny the fact that there's truth and meaning in the world, like if you're having a discussion with somebody and you just like disagree that there is like any truth to the world at all, there's no point in talking to you. There's just no point. Yeah, you won't go anywhere, get anywhere, do anything with that mindset. It's stupid. Yeah, let's get to this next section. So, yeah, Bogardus misrepresents Vaush's views. I love this because, first off, Bogardus, he was literally quoting Vaush. He understands Vaush's viewpoint. He did his fucking research. He very much understands. He did his research, unlike Vaush. Apparently, Vaush just, once again, he just fucking came in guns a-blazing, and he didn't fucking do a single bit of research. I don't even know if he looked this guy up. That's just what I heard. I could be wrong about that. But, yeah, it's weird that he would have the arrogance to like tackle a fucking philosophy professor on it's just I don't know. It's fucking insane to me, but whatever. So yeah, with this section, I believe Vaush literally said, "But wait, that's true." But then he claims that Bogardus misrepresented his views, which is just insane to me.
Reality, there are no men, no women, etc.
Where was that?
Here's a quotation from Vaush back in 2019 saying, all categories are socially constructed. They don't exist in nature.
Wait, that's true.
We built them.
Yeah, see, like he says the guy misrepresented his views, but like he even agreed with one of the representations of his views that the guy put forward. So I have absolutely no fucking idea where this title came from. I don't get it. It's fucking insane to me. Okay, let's get to what Vaush has to say about all this.
Thank you very much.
All right. I'm sure that you won't mind after that if I take a moment to respond to your premises, as I have plenty to say, as we it seems we both do. So the issue I have here is that I feel as though you've misrepresented some of my views and definitions here, and what's more, all of these views are incoherent. The construct I often find
literally everything you just said, philosophy professor, is incoherent. None of it made sense. None of it logically followed.
Logical view as though because it's the traditionally accepted one, it's the coherent one, but in reality it's nothing but. There's a reason why Nature, the arguably one of the most respected scientific journals in the history of the species, has been putting out article after op-ed about how the idea that sex and gender are the same, or that gender should be considered an extension of a biological category, is ahistorical, ascientific, and just false. And the reason for that is because what you obfuscate when you refer to the biological sex version of gender is the literal millennia of arguments and inconsistencies over what exactly it means to draw that line. Of course, for most of humans' history, we have no idea what chromosomes or even hormone washes are, so only recently has a full understanding of the actual things that differentiate biological males and females even been known to us. But yeah,
that doesn't like throw those like terms out the fucking window. So Vaush's argument is more or less only recently have we fully understood biological male and female. And like, yeah, that's true. Like we've always had the words, right? But we haven't always like fully understood the implications of the of the truth there, I guess. So that's not us. Well, it's just fuck me, dude. I can't speak. So Vaush says that, like, yeah, only recently have we fully understood biological male and female, and that's true, but this is just us learning more about the categories we've established. The views haven't changed, they've clarified.
Leaving that aside, long-standing have been the practices of intersex people having their genitals mutilated by doctors who want to get them cleanly fit in one category or another, biologically male or biologically female, often to the psychological detriment of those people because those doctors are trying to force people into a binary construct that just doesn't work. And the existence of...
So, like... He's bringing up intersex people to like as a counter argument for the binary, that like they're only men and women or whatever. The thing is, like intersex people, well, first off, there's exceptions to like every rule, and secondly, most people fit neatly into that binary. Like fucking pretty much everyone in existence is comfortable like with what they were assigned at birth, right? Like most people who were assigned at birth, male, are like perfectly fine with being considered male, and same thing for females, right? So just because there's like this tiny ass group of people, this tiny ass exception, doesn't throw the entire thing out the window. There's still utility there.
Of intersex people at all simply destroys the concept.
It just doesn't. No, I'm moving on. It just doesn't, dude. Okay. So this next part is like the epitome of my problem with Vaush's philosophy. Let's look at it.
And most of them, especially in biology, are vague and admit of borderline cases. But nevertheless, they may be true. There may be true definitions, even if they're difficult to express or articulate. You gave the example, one of your arguments against the biological definition of woman was that we didn't know about chromosomes many years ago. Well, first of all, I don't think biological sex is defined in terms of chromosomes. But let's just use the example of water. Maybe we could agree that water is H2O. That was true even before we knew about chemistry.
And that he's 100% right. Once again, if you think we can learn anything about the world, like we have to assume, because humans haven't been around forever, right? We have to assume that the things we see nowadays, like they existed before we showed up, right? Like there is something called water, or that we call water. Sorry, there is something that we call water. Like when we say water, we're referring to something that exists in the world and has existed for a very long time, right? There's some truth that we're referring to.
That was the definition of water before anybody knew anything about chemistry, before we knew about H2O. Back when Aristotle thought water was just an element. Nevertheless, it was H2O.
True. No, it's 100% true. He is 100% right.
I'm sorry?
This isn't true.
That water has not always been H2O?
Yeah, all you have to do is cross the Mexican border. And over there, it's aqua.
One of my favorite fucking quotes from Vaush. All you have to do is cross the Mexican border, and over there, it's aqua. Dude, he's missing the point entirely. He genuinely is just like, nothing's fucking real. There's no truth at all. We can't learn anything about the universe. It's all arbitrary. It's all fucking made up. It's not. The things we made up express a truth or point us in the direction of a truth, an underlying truth that we have to agree exists. So just because Mexicans refer to water as aqua doesn't mean we're talking about two different things. Both water and aqua, or well, apparently it's pronounced agua, refer to the same thing. Refer to this truth about the world.
That's H2O, not water.
Aqua means water. Aqua is water.
It's a different term.
Actually, it's agua. It's not aqua, right?
And once again, the philosophy professor is expressing the fact that these words point to a truth. The words in and of themselves are not true, but they point us in the direction of a truth.
And we're referring to terms and definitions here.
No, I'm referring to water, the stuff that fills lakes and rivers.
The stuff that fills about the word. Many things fill lakes and rivers.
Many things fill lakes and rivers. I hate how fucking like pedantic he's being. I don't know why. I don't know why he even agreed to have this debate.
Okay. Do you honestly not know what I mean when I talk about water, or are you just being a little difficult?
I think you made a mistake before you began that argument, which is that you said just because people didn't always know something doesn't mean that it can't be true. But that can't be the case when we're talking about definitions.
Well, yeah, once again, definitions are supposed to point to the truths which you deny. I don't know. He acts like if the definition is arbitrary, then there must, like, there is no actual truth. Everything about it is just arbitrary. I don't, it's incoherent. It's nonsensical.
How do we feel about the claim that gold is atomic number 79? Would you agree with that, or are you skeptical of that too?
I think that's how we refer to it as, sure. I'll take your word for it. I don't have the periodic table memorized. Yeah.
Well, I'm benefiting from the fact that this is a bit of a commonly used philosophical example. So that's really why I know that. But yeah, gold, that term in English refers to a certain element that has 79 protons. It's atomic number 79. So gold has been around for a long time, long before the word gold came on the scene. Gold predates the word gold. So anyway, this is just supposed to be an example of a definition that's true, and we went down a rabbit hole a little bit.
What do you mean by true? If we had taken another definition, if we had created another definition to say gold, and the term gold referred to a collection of elements, so let's say gold and lead, and the term gold was something people used to refer to both, that definition would be as true as the one we use today for gold. They would.
So yes, he's right. It would be. He's missing the point, though. He's missing the point that, like, no matter how you define the word, it's still supposed to point to a truth in the world. So in that case, if you define gold as being gold and lead, like, you know, a compound between gold and lead, like, you're still pointing to a truth in the world, right? Like, that's the point he's missing, that these words point to something that is true in the world. The words might be arbitrary. We can apply them to whatever we want. We can change definitions and stuff, but ultimately they need to be pointing to a truth in the world.
Female hormones they receive. These categories are not called for, and that's why traditionally doctors have just cut off the aberrant genitalia of intersex people, or try to force people into roles that best made them fit a binary. It just doesn't always work.
Okay. Yes. I have watched some of your videos, and I've heard your views on biological sex, and I think it's a commonly held view.
I love
about
sex.
What biological sex consists of. I think it is based on a misunderstanding. I don't think that biological sex is defined in terms of chromosomes or genitals or hormone levels, and you can see that by just considering the full range of the plant and animal kingdom and how the sexes are realized across the plant and animal kingdom, and you'll see that there's no facts about genitals figure into the definition, nothing about hormones, nothing about chromosomes. So we can talk about that a little more if you'd like, and try to get clear on what biological sex really is, but I just wanted to quickly point out that in my opening statement, what I argued was on all these proposals, it turns out that not all trans women are women. On every proposal, it is false that all trans women are women. So
I disagree.
I'm not really in a position.
I don't know how he disagrees. I have no idea. Here, where are we at? 42-52. Okay, let's go back real quick. No, the guy makes some really, really sound arguments. Like that shit's really, really hard to argue against. Hold on, where's the nihil? There we go. Let's just go back real quick. So biologically speaking, yes, not all trans women are women. Social role wise, like Vaush would, like he has to agree that like someone that isn't filling the social role can still be a trans person. So not all trans women are women when it comes to the social role view. If you stick strictly to that, the self-ID view, it's circular, it's meaningless. So yeah, not all trans women are women. Gender abolition, you know, if you get rid of gender, of course, not all trans women are women. Prescriptive view, not pointing to a truth. It doesn't prove that all trans women are women. And then the nihilistic view, there's no meaning in the world, and that, well, I guess he ends with a question mark because like it is whatever the fuck you wanted to be at that point, right? But yeah, no, this guy has been really, really thorough. I don't know how the fuck Vaush disagrees at this point, except for like, I guess he's doing the fucking, he loves to do that, like utilitarian bullshit. It's like, well, we just have to measure the amount of good in the world. He completely fucking throws out the idea that truth even matters in the first place. It very much does. If we don't agree that truth is important and that there is truth in the world, once again, we can't get anywhere, do anything. Everything's pointless. Everything's like why even bother?
So
I disagree.
I'm not really in a position that I need to defend the biological view. If you want to beat up on it and criticize it and reject it, okay. All I said was, if this is what woman means, then not all trans women are women. And I guess we agree on that. But I thought it would have been more pressing, given your views, to try to defend the charges that all those other proposals also entail, that not all trans women are women. And as far as I can tell, you haven't tried to do that yet.
Well, the prescriptive view
would you like to talk about biological sex, or should we move on to something a little more relevant?
Well, the biological sex thing, if it's something you feel the need to defend, we can. I assume this is you're the belief, of course, that a woman is defined by biology.
If you are asking me, what does the word ordinarily mean, then I think those trans-inclusive philosophers that I quoted are correct. That is what the word ordinarily means. I think
I'm not asking you what it
dictionary...
ordinarily means. What do you think it means? What does it mean to be a woman?
What does it mean to be a woman? Well, if you were to ask me, what does it mean to be a computer or a television, or I'm just pointing at things in the room, I would take that question to be asking, what do those words ordinarily mean? I don't have my own private language. I communicate using a public language that we all share. And so if you ask me what a word means, and I didn't know, I might check the dictionary to see what this word ordinarily means.
Is entirely informed by tradition.
Yes, it has to be. Wait, no, yeah, because no, language is like it's a shared thing. We all have to agree on the definition of words to like have even like a semi-functional conversation. Like if you have a private language, no one's going to be able to understand what the fuck you're saying. So we have to agree to a certain extent on the definitions of words. Like, of course we do. So I guess if you want to call that appealing to tradition, sure, but like we literally have to. I don't know where Vaush is coming from here.
You are aware, of course, of the fact that the majority of Americans today believe in accepting the identity of trans people by a slim margin. In 20 years, my view will be more popular than yours. Will you switch over then? Are you going to defer entirely to what you see in the dictionary?
Then it would no longer be true that that's what the word ordinarily means.
So
right, yeah. Well, obviously, if the definition changes, then yeah. And once again, I am very much pro-trans. I'm very much for including trans women into the overall like scope of womanhood. I am pro that.
Okay, well then sure, then that's fine by me. If we're here to make prescriptions, then sure. My problem. I haven't
made any prescriptions.
You defer to the prescriptions of others. All definitions are fought for, from the definition of soil in the books of geologists to the definition of skyscraper in the book of civil engineers. Everything is fought for, and I will fight for the definition, the prescriptive view that trans women are women.
The problem here, and this is going to be my conclusion to the video. The problem here overall is that if your definition, the word you're using, doesn't point to a truth, if it's circular, if it doesn't. Yeah, if it's meaningless, that like, it's never going to be accepted. That just doesn't work. You have to be able to point to a truth in the world. And overall, that is Vaush's biggest issue, is that he, like, whenever he argues philosophy, it seems, I haven't listened to all of his philosophical discussions, but whenever he argues philosophy, he seems to have a hardcore anti-realist bent, that there is no truth in the world, that we can't understand anything about the world. We should just do whatever the fuck we want to, like, benefit ourselves or whatever. He misses the value of truth, or at least pretending like there is truth entirely. That is Vaush's problem when it comes to his worldview. It is nonsensical. It literally does not function in the real world. You could not function in the real world using that worldview. You just couldn't. Anyways, yeah, that's been Vaush doing no research and then fucking debating a philosophy professor. Yeah, that was fun. It was a funny fucking video. If you cross the Mexican border over there, it's aqua. Oh man, no, it's fucking silly bullshit. It's fucking silly bullshit. Don't be an anti-realist. Don't be a nihilist. There is value to truth. There is meaning in the world. You just gotta find it. All right, go out there, find it. You know, find your fucking meaning. Blah 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 blah. Inspirational shit. Anyways, yeah, I'm Cleary. It's been fun. I love you guys. Bye bye.